we as Muslims reject the idea of freedom of speech and even the idea of freedom.
If you read the book by Charles Darwin, The Origin of Species, it says that Charles Darwin went on an island by the name of Calotropis. Came the Homo sapiens. We died about 500,000 years ago.
The Catholic Church was in business about 300 years before Jesus was born. It's on their website. Don't go like this. It's on their website. That's where I took it from. The Catholic Church was really started in Rome by Alexander the Great. Do you know what the word Catholic means? It means universal. It was the universal church for the Roman Empire. If you didn't join it, you could not be a Roman citizen.
In 1611, there was a group who actually translated the Bible to English again. That's what we call King James Version. But in fact, King James didn't even know they did it till after the fact. They wrote a soliloquy in the beginning of it, praising him, worshiping him, calling him Lord, even, hoping that he would accept and not kill them. He never authorized it, although he never killed them either. But he never officially authorized it. So they nicknamed it the Authorized Version. When it came to our country, it was called the King James Version. And let's don't pretend to be scholars. I don't. That's not my deal. Have you heard me say I'm a scholar? I'm an entertainer, okay? And not a very good one. We went up to Denmark and we had a special program there, and then we televised it, and we brought all of these journalists and photographers and the picture drawers together. We fed them. We gave them a feast and a banquet, and we gave them scholars who came, Jamal Badawi, the sister Yvonne Ridley, and myself, and I think we had Imam Qasim was there. So you're sitting right here, right now, in Chennai, India. Scholars of Islam have traveled from all over the world to be here for this. And we're speaking in plain, simple English. But when they ask me, again, I'll mention when I come back to the country, they'll ask me, are you a Sunni? I say, no, I am not.
Through atheism, all we are is carbon plus time plus carbon plus time. That's all we are.
Deduction. Do you even know what deduction is? Because I studied mathematics at university. I don't even think you know what it means.
This is our law. It's nothing to do with age. Now listen to the principles if we're principled. Number one, is she physically fit? Number two, is she emotionally ready? Number three, is she mentally ready? Number four, is it socially acceptable? Number five, all of these different kind of principles that we apply. And it happened that there's an outlier from the statistics that a 9-year-old was physically fit, was mentally ready, was even given away by her own father and her tribe.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to a new episode of the LDM show. On the show today we have a former Christian who actually wanted to be a monk but he became a Muslim instead.
I never believed Jesus is God himself.
Well, you're former Christian, exactly. So maybe so that's where you want to go.
Yeah, I never believed Jesus is God himself.
A lot of people, Turkish people, love Ataturk. Is this a form of worship? Ataturk was an extremely, thoroughly unpleasant, nasty kafir. He was a Jew. And not only was he a Jew, he belonged to a sect of the Jews that even the Jews think are far astray. And the way that anyone loves a man like this, I think anyone who loves him, reveres him or respects him cannot be a Muslim. They cannot be a Muslim.
Frankly, only someone really silly is going to think that you're going to find quantum physics and embryology in a holy book.
Since when we look at Aristotle's words, when we look at the description of the Quran, we see a correspondence.
Well, you haven't shown us any correspondence.
Yeah, that's the point. That's a
you haven't shown us. This is a statement. Aristotle is like the Quran. How? How?
Aristotle also describes the emergence of bones and muscle in sequence.
Right.
Okay.
And it's like the Quran.
And it's like the Quran.
But does Aristotle say the bones come first and then the flesh and the muscles? Does he say that? Are you sure?
Anybody that works with
I'll let you think about this.
Well,
anyone that works with livestock would be able to figure that out.
I'm not saying. Can you tell?
Is that what the Quran specifically says?
Absolutely. This is exactly what the Quran says. Chapter 23.
Because you just demonstrated the Quran is wrong.
Yeah, but how?
That's not what happens.
Well, this is what the embryologists are telling us. This is exactly what the embryologists are telling us.
No, they're not.
Okay. Let me tell you what Keith Moore said. I mean, you can disagree with him.
He doesn't like Keith Moore.
I don't know why you don't. What he said on the page number 364A of his book, The Human Embryo, that in the 7th week the bones are formed, and immediately after that the flesh is formed, and the bones are clothed with flesh. Keith Moore is wrong. He's an embryologist. This is his field.
It's my field too. I know it's wrong.
You're an embryologist?
Yes.
Oh, great! Wow, wow, that's news to me. Okay.
So that's wrong, because what happens first is you have differentiation of mesoderm.
Right.
That within the mesoderm you have segregation into things like embryonic mesenchyme, and then you have these cartilaginous centers with more bone.
Right.
And these are forming simultaneously with each other.
Right. Simultaneously.
So yes.
Even if that's the case, the Quran is right. Because Thumma is very, even if that's the case, linguistically the Quran is right. Thumma literally in Arabic language means things happening simultaneously. Yes.
Yes. But that's
I have a question for you.
Professor Myers, I think what's interesting, even if you're right, that means we would have to assume that the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings upon him, actually used to go and look into biology. He was a biologist. He would actually go and investigate things about.
He was an astronomer.
He must have had a library of an Alexandrian magnitude. So even when you make these assumptions, it's still problematic.
He was a geologist.
The Quran describes the various embryological stages in great detail.
For you to actually, the Quran says, create even a chapter like it, and the smallest chapter being 10 verses.
This is what you call, not rhetoric, not intellectual arguments, what you call sophistry. It's rhetoric with crap, frankly.
And I always delight them because I always make sure to make one mistake or more for them. So those mistakes that you saw were probably intentional.